New faces. My name is James Schumacher. I'm the CEO of the Startup Race, and we are gamifying both the startup process and the angel investing process. And so, what I've tried to do here is articulate the two problems that both sides face. Now, in our startup race, we benchmark founders against how much money they make each week. And so, we create a league table pretty close to what you see in the football league tables, and the positions change each week depending on how much revenue each founder has been able to achieve. But what we've recently realized is that there is a league table of angel investors as well. And not many angel investors are actually aware of this. But if you invest £100,000 as an angel investor, let's say, you could either be at the bottom of this league table of investors or you could be at the top. And research by Rothbank and Boker shows that there's a huge gap between ad hoc and just investing a little bit here and there, or actually playing a serious game and trying to get into the top quarter of angel investing. £340,000 is a huge amount. 450. And the founder also suffers when they try to raise angel investment because it can take a significant period of time, which means that there's a huge opportunity cost. They're not focusing on making money in the business. They're coming to pitch events like this and they're meeting investors. And we know that only a small, tiny percentage of founders actually are successful in raising investment. And so the fundraising process actually erodes value in the business. Plus, it's not a strong a signal that this entrepreneur can make money and actually sell his business. Okay, let's see if I can get the right one. Now, I'm going to use a concept called the blue ocean canvas. Blue ocean as opposed to red ocean when there's lots of competition and it's very bloody and it's very expensive to get customers and you're competing against each other. Whereas in the blue ocean, you have no competition. It's like a completely brand new, innovative thing that you're doing, like levitating skateboards, for instance. If you're able to invent one of them, it's complete blue ocean. There's not many other levitating skateboard, startups around. So what we have on this blue ocean strategy canvas, we've got 4 columns. The first one is eliminate. Second one is reduce. The third one is raise, and the fourth one is create. And what I've done is I've plotted out the profile of angel syndicates. I'm a member for an angel syndicate, so I kind of, we tested this with other angel investors as well. And I'm going to compare, or I'm going to overlap the startup race. And I'm just going to whiz through each of these categories at the bottom just to explain it in a bit more detail. So, for instance, in an angel syndicate, when an entrepreneur goes to the gatekeeper and applies online, gives the gatekeeper or the website information. And very often the information is primarily from the founder. And, some of it could be a creative writing exercise. The second one is pitch assessment. So I should say, actually, in the startup race, the only information that we get from the founder is that they've not burned through the SGIS runway and they're at £5,000 annual current revenue, because we've got to get them to significant, maybe $1 million in 12 months or so. And so we have very low founder input. And then if we look at pitch assessment for angel invest and syndicates, is very high, as we see 4 people pitching. In the startup race, there's no pitching whatsoever. And benchmarking bias, subconsciously, you might like an investment opportunity because you've invested in a similar person or industry or something or other. So you have this unconscious bias that's working against you. We don't have that in the startup race. Investment losses are huge. If you look at the research on an investor's portfolio, maybe 35-40% die, and then maybe 30%, 40% are zombies, and then maybe one will give you a 10x and enable you to recoup all your money. And what effectively, we don't necessarily move the needle at the top, but we reduce the startups that are going to fail. So pretty much because it's a tested process 12 months competing against other founders, and the winner gets the investment deal, you think they're going to be able to survive unless something catastrophic happens. So we're reducing the losses. Monitoring cost is quite expensive for an angel syndicate, or there's all sorts of due diligence you need to put founders through. Obviously, you need the SEIS forms. There's a whole bunch of other things that are expensive in terms of time and money. We reduced that monitoring cost. Snapshot evidence. Very often, if you invest in a founder who's been pitching at an angel event, it's like a 3-month window. And whereas in the startup race, we'll give you 12 months to observe all the founders and anyone that you're particularly interested in. It's a lot longer, 12 months of evidence. And that leads into information quality. So people who take part in a startup race, the money is drawn down from their business bank account through Xero or QuickBooks, and then into LivePlan, which is one of the world's best financial modeling tools. And we've got a partnership with LivePlan that enables us to create our lead table of founders each week. And it's taken us a while to systematize and automate this management process. We are monitoring revenue, and you might have some questions about that. There'll be some restrictions on what it is that founders are selling. If they're selling cars, obviously it's high capital items, so it could artificially inflate the revenue figure. So in our rules, we would eliminate that. You can't take part if you're selling high capital items. But generally, the number one signal is revenue, the entrepreneur selling and making money. And we will be measuring other things: the marketing, acquisition, activation, lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, all of those things as well. So we get really strong data verification. So it's really high compared to an angel syndicate, let's say. You might meet once a quarter, and very often angels have to chase up their investee. Where's my information? Whereas it's all automated in our startup rate process. And what we create on the first check is the follow-on confidence. Some of you may have invested in a founder you invested in 18 months ago, and they're back for more money another round, let's say. And you'll know that person a little bit better. You'll understand what they did with the money, whether they achieved their goals, whether the business is going in the right direction. All of these things are actually encompassed in the startup race. So you actually have that follow-on confidence. The next one, performance assessment. So the startup race is a gamification exercise. All the founders competing against each other. If you're number one for 10 weeks, you get knocked down to number 5, let's say, you're going to be really serious about becoming number one again. And that's when the innovation comes in, the target fixation, and a whole bunch of other things that really make the startup race a different animal. So so you're watching the founders compete against each other, how they cope with difficult, challenging circumstances, and whether they can bounce back or not. And that leads to what we call the 5th, diversification. So in your portfolio, you might think there's 4 sectors that you're thinking about when you're building your angel portfolio. It could be sector, it could be location, it could be what do the founders look like. And so you're thinking of mixing it up in your portfolio. We add the 5th one. We don't want you to stop being a member of an angel syndicate. We want you to keep doing that. But what we're just saying, hey, why don't you just try something a little bit different and see how it works in your portfolio. So we're offering the 5th, and the 5th, diversification. And what this finally leads on to is what we call the portfolio pathway. And so what we're doing is a £100,000 startup race that's going to start in April. After that, we hope to, maybe next year, we're going to do a £1 million startup race where the top 10 will get a £100,000 investment deal. And so you can get equity in, let's say, 10, 15 companies within 2 years or less. So you can actually get onto becoming a top quartile angel investor with your portfolio. And this is our first rodeo. We've been around for quite a while. This is my co-founder, Mike Closer. He VC at Cornell. He actually introduced FanDuel, Fang and Key together He was one of the people that founded the E-Club at my university. We ran an accelerator program during COVID because we couldn't do our events anymore. We had over 1,000 applicants. We took on 76. We invested in 7 of them. And so, yeah, we are, and we're lean stack coaches with Ash Maurya's platform. He took Eric Ries's lean startup principles and built a platform that everybody who takes part in Startup Race uses. And so we coach them on the cutting edge concepts and how to build a successful business quickly. And this is what we've already achieved so far. In our last race, I was explained to Nikki earlier on, our model is a meritocracy. I mean, it's really sad that so few women are successful in raising investment. Whereas in our last competition, we put 10 grand cash over our money up front. And it was won by a female entrepreneur, Priyanshu, and she achieved 44x in her revenue. The runner-up was Marilee from Mexico. And yeah, it's essentially we're just using the gamification methodologies backed up with Lean Stack, the latest Lean Startup method, ideas or concepts. And yeah, it really does motivate people. Obviously, you need to be competitive to win a £100,000 startup race. And also, if you want to be a top quartile angel investor, you need to have some competitive spirit as well. So so we are hoping that our next startup race is going to start in April. Any founders in the room who want to take part in the startup race, you can go and register your interest, learn how to win. And if anybody's interested in joining our 100K syndicate, you can express your interest on our website. We'll take you through the usual self-certification, AML. Yeah, but but whatever you do, if you don't take part in the race, or if you don't decide to become a syndicate member, you can observe, become what we call an observer, an observing angel, or you can look at the startup race and think maybe next year. So that's it from me. Thank you.